Hey, how's it going? Today I have cards that I pulled, but I was having, and maybe am still having, a bit of difficulty kind of focusing on what I would like to talk about here, and now I'm completely distracted. Let me just, out of sight, out of mind. Okay. So I had written a piece after not having written in a while. I wasn't blocked. I was just kind of overwhelmed, like I had too many things and nothing wanted to formulate. Oh, I guess I should have done something with my fuzzy hair. Oh well, sorry. So, I started writing this piece finally, and it started out one way, and then I think it just kind of veered off into this other direction, which was not what I was intending to do consciously, but I guess unconsciously or subconsciously, I decided to do something else. So I will link that, and it kind of unblocked me from doing, because I was kind of just on pause from doing anything. The writing is because I was discouraged that I joined Substack, and I've been on there since June, and gradually, like first I was able to post whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and gradually it started like not posting when I wanted to post, and things happen all the time to like my cyber devices, and I don't know like coding, and I don't know a whole lot about running them. I just whatever. But I could not find support at all. Like the support was frequently asked questions, and I don't know how this can possibly be, but every time I have a problem with some device, I try everything I can think of before going to help or support or frequently asked questions. I hope you catch my intonation there, where frequently is not the F word I wanted to use. But those stupid questions, never have I come across an answer to my question. And I don't know how that could be. Like, I'm having completely unique problems. If that's the case, I'm screwed, because I cannot get a person or a bot or even another person on the site to respond, because everybody's just all, oh, you have a problem, not my problem. I don't know what that's like, but, ask me for help and I'll probably give it to you. I asked for help. My God, it is like the biggest insult in the world or something. Like, I get no response or bad response, as if everyone just thinks I don't need help and I'm making it up or something. Like, I don't know, but it's really irritating. And also irritating that I cannot get Substack now to post. I've posted movies, whole YouTube movies, and I'm trying to post a YouTube video that's much shorter, and I cannot get them to go up. I can post everybody else's shit, just not mine. So that's like really frustrating. And, along with the inability to get any kind of help or any kind of response anywhere, it's just been kind of sitting in my gut like a nasty ball of shower drain hair. Like, it just has been feeling terrible, and I can't figure out how did I make that happen. And I can't get my light to act right down here, but oh well. So that's why I didn't write. And I have plenty of stuff that can be posted that I just wasn't posting. Do you know why? Because if Substack don't want me, I don't want to give my stuff to Substack anymore. Just like any relationship, if I feel like you treat me like shit, I don't want to be in the relationship anymore. So, it's It's irritating because I'm actually not trying to do it for a living, like post my writing. I would mind making money, but I can't even figure out how to post the thing on there, the link to send me money, so I keep trying. Maybe one of these days I'll get it right. Also irritating and kind of like, it makes me not even want to try anymore, but that doesn't last long, and I guess that's my personality or whatever, but that gets on my nerves too. Like, you just feel like you're pounding your head against the same wall forever and not really getting anywhere. I think that's kind of the period we're in right now, and also like the holiday season where like everything's kind of is in a different mode than usual. There's lots of days off. The kids are out of school. I don't know if they are right now. I don't know. I guess I saw a bunch out yesterday when I thought they should have been in school, but people were in this complex where I live are are homeschooling their kids. And I don't know if that's a great outcome, because I think you need the parent to be a pretty good student to homeschool a student. And I don't know of many people. The smart people here that I know are really intelligent. They don't have kids. Which, if you further the thought, means that the not smart people are educating their kids. And they're keeping their kids out of the schools, I think. You know, it's really hard to say. It could be that there's bullying happening or some other thing that makes it so unpleasant for the child that they just are like, fine, we'll just homeschool. But it could also be that people have sort of, why can't I think of this word, taken on the belief that public schooling is bad for the reasons that you'll hear through a political prism. And that's not right, because that has nothing to do with education. That normally the most concerns a public school is going to have, as far as the government is concerned, is funding. How much of it they're going to get and what for. What will they be allowed to fund? So for probably 20, 25 years now, the conservative right has been chipping away at public education because I think they want those funds to go to their preferred schools, which I think they have a pipeline to their personal pockets from, because they're not, I mean, I don't know. When I went to parochial school, Catholic school, you know, you have to pay tuition for that, and I have to say, and I've seen it other places, and it was this, I saw this after, years after I realized this was the case, but I left Catholic school, so I was in there from preschool through 3rd grade, okay, that's it. And when I went from there to public school, for a number of reasons, I was able to not try at all for the rest of my career in school and do just fine. And that is because, here's the thing that seems to be pretty widely known. The Jesuits are really good at teaching you how to school. Like how to do the learning part. Like, it's easy. I even enjoy it, depending on the subject, to varying degrees. And I just never had to try. When I was in high school, I mean, I did above average. I didn't, like, go out of my way because I hated it. I hated school. But I knew when I had tests, so I showed up for the tests. They say in public school, you can get, like, terrible grades, but as long as you show up every day, you will pass. So I kind of modified it. I stopped wanting to show up, so I showed up sometimes, but definitely on those testing days. And that's why I did not flunk out, because I was out a lot. Like, once I started, like, ditching, it was like, gee, this is great, I must do it as much as possible. But, like I said, the Jesuits, thank you, made it very easy for me to just slide right on through. Didn't even really have to try. And that was a good thing. So why did I start talking about that? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to whatever sidetracked me about it. But what I wanted to talk about, what I started to write about, I think, was how, and I got to it a little bit, but then I kind of wandered into other stuff. I think you can decide for yourself. I will link it. But I feel like, or I know, and you are probably starting to know or notice, if you haven't already, how fake everything is. I have been learning through alternative sources like channeled messages and just sources that are not the mainstream, that I mean, I think we all know that there's a level of falsehood to everything that we're told by sort of the authorities and the governing authorities. And that extends from, like, government functions out to, like, the private world, too. And that's how it is so encapsulating. Like, it just, it just kind of engulfs everything. And there's a long-standing kind of cooperative effort between, like, what gets advertised and what kind of entertainment gets shown and what kinds of foods are acceptable, you know, and it's all parts of our life. And I don't think we realize that. I think we think it's confined to, like, single areas of, I don't know, promotion or something. But one thing that I kind of figured out from my experience being a Catholic, and I was a baptized Catholic. Like, I didn't have a choice. So, like, I was just a Catholic, whether it was okay. It was not up to me until I was, like, almost an adult. And I was like, no, like, can I have a decision on something? So, I am grateful for the education. I have to say I'm not and wasn't grateful for getting my ass whooped every day, because at the time that I was in school in California, the teachers could start beating your ass if they thought you weren't behaving. But that, it wasn't just the teachers. And I was not a bad kid. I was talkative, but I wasn't like bad behaved. Like, if you told me to shut up, I'd shut up, you know. What was happening is that the teachers were getting licks in, the nuns were getting licks in, the student teachers or the yard monitor would get their licks in, and then the kids, I would get chased home every day. I would be, like, running from a fight every day. So I wasn't really too terribly sad to leave. But the thing about being a Catholic is that is an ingrained system of generational propaganda. And in this case, when I say propaganda, I mean, like, probably the purest sense of the word, where they're telling you things meant to make you think and act and perceive things in a certain way. Like, being constantly told that you're born a sinner, when that's ridiculous. You have yet to do anything. You're just born. You can't even you can do little more than make sounds and peep and poop. Like, but you get to hear that your whole life, and then everyone who came before you, your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents, and probably even people before that, were Catholics, and so they've all been molded through that same system. And that's kind of intense when you think about it. That's a very well conceived and thought out control structure. I mean, you leave the visiting the church all the time and maybe be a lapsed parent like many were, like mine were, and my aunt and uncle were, and I think all of the grown-ups in my life, after a while, they just were not going. We had to go, but they didn't go. And it's like, that always felt hypocritical. And then I thought, well, maybe for some of the parents involved, the couples, maybe they just wanted you out of the house for the time that it took to go there, sit for 45 minutes, and come back. That made for about a 2-hour interval in the household that I'm thinking of. So it may have been strategic in other ways too, but to have that there to send us to make us go, that's part of the control structure. And then, like, what you're supposed to believe or not, like the homosexuality thing, it's like what you're taught in elementary school as opposed to what you're taught in university. In life that we're living right now in this timeline, a lot of people are fine with homosexuality being around them, it existing. There are plenty of people, though, who cannot handle it, like just can't deal. They don't want them around. They don't want that activity to exist. They don't want those people to exist. And that's not, like, despite what the Bible says, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to just be eliminating each other. But the Bible is a confusing thing, and it goes through its own stages, but when you get older and more mature and start to look for things on your own and really question things, and then you're not, like, sort of prevented from that after a certain point, you sort of learn what the truth is about a lot of things. And man, that Bible and the religion is so convoluted with, like, fraud and just untruth. Although, you remember that what the stuff in there was written about many years after the incidents happened, and so it's word of mouth, it's memory, perhaps, for some people that wrote stuff down that we now call the Bible, but there's also things in there that require a different, higher level type of comprehension that's not widely taught. Like, that's why they don't tell us stuff. Not that you can't learn the stuff, but they don't give it to you to learn. They don't present it to the opportunity for you to, because if we know too much about too many things, then we can't be controlled. Like, that's the bottom line. But that goes back to what I started to talk about in the first place. In order to maintain the control, there is an overwhelming amount of infrastructure to keep us afraid, to keep us confused and overwhelmed, and everything else that is not thinking straight. Because if we were thinking straight, we'd see right what they're doing. Example, I'm paging through Blue Sky, and I see this post, and it's, I don't remember exactly what it was now. Like, I don't remember verbatim, but it was about, like, this person was very disappointed in all of the lying and hiding around these Epstein files, which people are still asking for them to be released, but it's like, they've been redacted and scrubbed multiple times now. I don't know what you're going to get any more than a letterhead out of those files. But the government is not the only entity with a copy. There's apparently a shit ton of people with a copy. And so once the president is not in power to, like, sort of interfere and cock block all efforts to let the truth be known, then the truth will be known. I think we'll have to wait for that. I'm not the only one that's come to this conclusion. So anyway, the guy was writing about how nothing was happening, and it wasn't really, like, the situation wasn't being addressed with the survivors in any way. They're trying to make them liars and make them disappear and make it seem like what happened to them was nothing, and that it's just not nothing. Like, when people take your sex from you when you are not giving it, it is a violation. It hurts you emotionally and physically. And when people don't believe you, that makes it all the more difficult to heal. Get off those people. Get on helping them and prosecuting the perpetrators. This is ridiculous. But the reason why nothing is happening is, I'm just guessing here, but probably because people that are named in the information are guilty of something. And if they're just guilty of being blamed for something, then have a spine and come out and just tell your story. People are not doing that, though. So I feel like there's even something else going on that we're just not understanding why people are holding back, because the reasons given, none of them are good enough, and nobody's coming out and saying, well, I might get killed if I say. But maybe if they did, it could prevent such a thing from happening. I don't know, just kind of makes sense to me. So, there's just like overlapping, intermeshed, intercoiled, interconflicted systems that are preventing us from perceiving unadulterated reality. And from some of the sources that I know a lot of people think are just completely unbelievable, like people channeling extraterrestrials, like they can't even hardly handle like ghosts. So this is like advanced for some people, that ETs talk to us and that they're heavily involved in our doings here on this planet. Like, they've been around for many like many more generations. We're talking like thousands of years that they've been here, like lending a hand and helping us get through the hard times and helping us not lose our minds. And it's just like Star Trek. They can't like directly interfere. I mean, I guess if we asked, it might be different. They never talk about that, but with the Prime Directive, I'm talking about Star Trek like I'm one of them. More on that later. They are not supposed to fiddle with timelines. Some of the captains have a problem following that rule. But the point is that they can help us in many ways. Like, there's documented information about them being nearby nuclear sites where nuclear bombs, nuclear missiles, or whatever can be fired, and then just those not working. And it's funny that there's a visible, like, spaceship in the vicinity right when the thing is supposed to be working, and it doesn't. And okay, so what I have learned from the channeled messages of ETs is that they will come in and prevent, like, they'll just stop the mechanism from working. They will nullify the bomb or whatever so it can't work. And it's not just to save us or this planet, which is very important. I mean, we are too, but the planet is a bigger deal in a whole other way that I'm not going to go into right now. But it's a sentient entity. So, and it is a big deal in a lot of ways. And so, they want to preserve it. not only that, is those things are so destructive on so many levels that we evidently haven't even really understood yet, that the damage can happen from a detonation here, and it can flow into other dimensions and do damage there. And if the half-life here is anything like the half-life in those places, we just gave them a really fucking shitty gift. Like, it's not great here either. And it's like our biggest threat. And some people are so quick to whip it out and we're going to, watch out or we're going to do this to you. Stop punching yourself because you're doing it to you too. You think it stays in one place? Have you ever heard of wind and water? They transport stuff like you wouldn't believe, I guess. Otherwise you'd know. So, I mean, I'm just giving you, like, information that I've come across, but it stands to reason, though. Like, we know that nuclear detonations are incredibly damaging. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that they are incredibly damaging beyond our measure, our ability to measure. The ETs, however, I'm sorry, I feel like we gotta hand it to them because they got some stuff figured out that we absolutely haven't, and I feel like I will defer to them on especially that matter because we only know how to shoot them off. We don't know how to stop ourselves. This is terrible. So, I don't mean to be like all doom and gloom because, as it says in my piece, I'm not like blaming us or the perpetrators of anything. It's all part of what is meant to happen, so it has to happen. And it's unfortunate that it's unpleasant or unhappy to us, but that's the way it goes. And by the way, when we go to the, I don't want to call it theory because theory implies that it's not something that exists. This evidently is a real thing. It just doesn't happen here on Earth where it can be observed, but before we're born, a lot of planning goes into what our lives are going to play out like, and that includes planning with everyone that we're going to encounter and all of the situations that, say you are born and then we don't remember, like, it's rare, but we usually don't remember that this all took place. That's by design. And so we'll come here and then, like, horrible things will start happening and we won't remember that we intended for these things to happen because they are challenges that we want to experience, because where we came from, things are not that way. Like, this is unique. This is out of the ordinary for the other races. And so, not only that, but I, and also you, are not the only one that had a pre-life, like a pre-birth blueprint. Everyone that's here has one of those. I think even the animals. So, that many, I mean, just think of one other person coupled with your soul group, which is all of the people that you're going to encounter that I was talking about. You will have a lot of those, like, especially if you live a long time. So just think of one other person having all of that. And then think of, like, all the millions of other people all having all of those same kind of things at the same time. They gotta interlock and work together. Otherwise, it would just be all chaos all the time. The world on fire and doom and gloom and everything. But no, that's, we get, like, blisters of violence and stuff here and there. But for the most part, we hold together and stay cohesive and calm and are not, out to get each other to that degree. And I'm glad that we're able to do it, because the forces against us, not only are they, out to prevent us from, God, so much, but to prevent us from honestly prospering and sharing with each other all of the abundance that the earth holds for us. Instead, they have made this structure where everything that the human can do that makes them powerful, that we don't do, they want to make sure that we don't ever realize that there's something to remember. They want to keep us muddled and foggy on that. So either by whatever we consume, like the water or the food, or what they've genetically engineered the food or added that's poisonous or damaging, they know that the stuff they make is generally not good for us because it is not naturally occurring. And so I think it went from like a profit thing to where like the seasons don't go long enough to sell continuously throughout the year. So we'll just invent ways to make stuff grow all year around and last all year, like preservative wise, and all kinds of little really screwed up stuff like that has been done, is being done to us. And those things do affect our mentality and also our mental health, and like what kind of mood we are in or can be induced into. Like we hear things and we'll call them conspiracy theories because they'll be in some way outlandish that we just can't accept. But what we should consider is that maybe we're wrong about them being untrue and theoretical and false. Like, it's a lot of what we don't want to hear and don't want to believe, but a lot of times those things are true things, and they are all over American and world history. So there will be a lot of, well, not a lot, but there will be people every now and then trying to get people to wake up, this is happening. You believe this person, or you, like I had a little bitty conversation online with someone today, and they said something about anti-vaxxers like harassing somebody with like a kid or something. I forget exactly what it was, but the subject of anti-vaxxers came up, and I commented that it was so weird that they get so mad if you do the vaccine because they don't, and they don't want you to, but it's not because they care. Like, they'll scream and yell about how it's doing things to your health, bad things, and that may be true. I don't know. I don't know that the doctors are even sure of it yet, because it takes us a long time to figure that sort of thing out, and that is another subject that gets blocked. Like, information is blocked and altered and interfered with or removed all the time, so we're not really ever sure what we're hearing or what we're taking is safe, good, true, all of the above. It's just a crapshoot. And that's like the world that we kind of designed. I don't know if it's gotten kind of out of control or not, but I think everyone right now is having a hard time seeing how we get from here, which seems to be going into worse at a high velocity as fast as it can, and a world where we're tolerant of each other and we actually want to help each other, and saving people is a priority. And yeah, it does seem hard to believe, but we've come through some stuff all over the world and come out squeaky clean and new, like all good. So we just have to, I guess, learn how to keep a stiff upper lip and carry on, because this all has a conclusion, and you can see it even now, where the ways that things have been run, particularly the ones that the Republicans have had a lot of control over, those systems are falling apart. Even as they're attacking and taking down systems, their own systems are crumbling as well. Like, they're at war with each other. People are suddenly seeing who each other is for who they are in that party. It's not my party, so I have no high expectations of them. Like, I have yet in my 60 years, well, I haven't voted for all 60, but the first election I voted in was when George H.W. Bush ran. And I voted against him, but it didn't work. But it seems like that's when I really started noticing that they do some really crappy stuff to undermine and destroy people on the left, or people that don't agree with them and won't like do what they want you to do. And that's no way to run a business. When you have to force people to be loyal to you, you are not going to get loyalty. You're going to get self-service, because those people are going to be like, okay, I'll be loyal to you for as long as I can get something for me out of it. When you want the loyalty because you want something out of them for nothing. And loyalty, that has to be earned. Just like any kind of trust. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. When we're talking about like Trump and them, I don't think we have to go as far as the full trust. They've kind of demonstrated that they're not really to be trusted. And it's not just the man himself, it's his whole group of gaggle that are behind him, repeating the things that he wants them to say. When you see people making speeches that are just off kilter in a certain kind of way and threatening and insulting in a certain kind of way, you know that they're developed for a one-person audience. They're broadcast for someone in particular. So we have a ways to go before there's a big change, and the big change may not be much more at first than getting the party switch over from where it is now. But things are looking positive if you are not a Republican and not a conservative. Or actually, you might be a conservative that's on the left. There are those. I guess it remains to be seen. But we have things happening like Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of changing her tune, and nobody wants to accept it. And I keep saying, it doesn't matter. Well, I don't say this part. I keep saying she's just acting like another politician. What's the big deal? Nobody believes her, and they think she's like playing everybody. But I don't, because if you pay attention to her, she's obviously been having some media training or something. She used to, if you remember her yelling into AOC's mail slot at the Capitol, or yelling at David Hogg, or yelling at whoever, she could not talk without me hearing the squawk of a vulture or something, or like a crow. Just so nasal and squawky and, I don't know, pointy. Like, it just was unpleasant. And I know that wherever I saw her quoted, I would just make bird sounds in response. So either she figured out that that's what she sounded like, or someone told her, and because she started to modulate her voice, but she's not doing that anymore. And I gotta say, it's not that I'm liking what the words she's saying, like what she's talking about, but the way the words sound now is so much more bearable. If you're gonna be out there running your mouth all the time, thank you for taking the edge off. My God, it was hard to listen to. And she has come to see what a flaky liar her beloved president is, and how the man demands loyalty, but that he hasn't earned. And she has given more than anyone. I mean, she has really been devoted to the guy, and he treats her like dirt. He doesn't want to let her do anything. So she at least has a spine, though, of her own. And she was like, wait a minute, man. Don't treat me like this. But she got to see, like, everything was not as great as it was advertised. More propaganda telling you something is one way that it completely isn't. And she had to, like, come to the realization that a lot of the shit the people on the left were saying was true. And then she still went out there and said it, so I gotta give it to her for that. I mean, she's got bigger balls than a lot of guys, but there's also Thomas Massie that's come out. There's not been a lot of Republicans just yet. A lot of them are afraid to, I guess. Like, whatever it is that Trump has that's scaring them, it must be a big deal, because it's exhausting and it's working. Like, I wish these people would do a Marjorie and get a spine. So something else that I came across in my listening and constant scrolling of the internet was something that the ET said, which was, it was just in my head. Hold on. Oh, man. Oh, okay. It had to do, they were talking about, like, all of the ways that we're being, like, tricked and fooled and made to believe that things are a way that they, in reality, are not. So a lot of wool being pulled over our eyes. And then they didn't say what the incident was, but they did say that it's happened more than once. And what I'm talking about, what they were talking about, was a large scale, massive, I mean, maybe like a citywide or bigger type incident where it's a holographic projection that looks real but isn't. And so that made me think of something else they said, that was that the right will try and, I don't know what this would accomplish, but try and scare us, I guess for control, by launching a fake alien attack, or invasion rather. And it would be us, basically, like, or maybe sympathetic to that cause, aliens joining in for, what is the word? Artistic purposes, authenticity, to make it look like really aliens were invading. But what they would really be doing was trying to scare us into doing something or submitting to something. And so what they said was, is it happened way back, like during Jesus' time, and it also happens today. And they didn't say what it was, like what the big projection was. So now I'm really like, I don't feel like I can believe anything anymore. Like, you, I think, literally have to be able to touch it and, like, smell it and know that it's real. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have the wool pulled over your eyes. And the fact that something like that has happened more than once and lately, and we evidently didn't pick up on it. That's not good for us. We need to be able to be a lot more sensitive and a lot more attentive to what is going on in our near vicinity. I mean, come on. So it's funny that I guess this is something that Trump has been saying. I don't know. I often have something playing in the background, and I won't be paying total attention, but I thought I heard somebody today say that Trump has been saying hell is empty and all of the devils are here about everybody else, because it's not like he's the one with the power to blow up the boats of strangers that they have not examined because it's so far away and just nobody did it, and they're just saying that they're drug dealers, but they don't know. The ones that I guess I know of two, and a third one today. I guess it's happened a number of more times into the teens that didn't make the news. And he was talking about starting a land war, and I'm like, wait a minute, bro, weren't you supposed to be the peace president that wanted the peace prize? So you didn't get it, so now you're gonna go start wars? That is not a well mind, okay? But this card came out, and it's the devil card, and it's my crystal whispers, my gemstone whispers card, and the crystal is the stone is hematite, and the subtitle is devil. Hell is empty, and all the devils are here. Trump has a way of projecting or foreshadowing himself. Like, he tells his plans all the time, and I think people are finally starting to catch on. Like, pay attention to what he's saying, because if he's saying he's gonna go do something horrible, now we know he's likely to actually go do something horrible. So we just need to be more cognizant of what is coming out of the man's mouth, and then prepare. Because I think if he doesn't see us reacting, he's just going to go ahead and do it. Like, I think he's going to go ahead and do it anyway. But I think that if he thought he was going to be prevented, he'd be a lot more cautious about deciding to go ahead and do something. We got to stop being stunned if we want this to stop. We have to start paying attention to his tics and his personality, because they have, if you look back, laid out what he's going to do almost every time. I just say almost because I expect there was a time where he said something crazy and it didn't happen, but that could be a yet. And it could also be that I wasn't paying close attention because, like I said, I'll be doing something and stuff will be playing in the background that I'm not paying 100% attention to. I'm really trying to fix that. So I'm just going to read some of the cards here. I pulled some from 2 decks. So from the Messages of Cosmic Oracle, I have first, never forget how resilient you are. You always bounce back. So yes, indeed, never forget that, because we've done it many times. We're going to have to continue to do it, and we're going to have to do it with our heads about us, with intent, like paying attention to what the president's saying so we can sort of get in front of some kind of craziness that he may be planning. That would be us bouncing back. Bouncing first, before it happens, preferably. Next card is, your life is so special. Treat it with loving care. I'm just going to show you the illustration. So we have these lives that we're living out, and in the piece that I wrote, I talk about how, oh man, I forgot how this is associated. Hold on. Oh! I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, no. Well, to treat your life with loving care is to be aware of what is happening around you, and to preserve your life is what you want to do. Something else I came across earlier, I didn't finish it yet because the announcer or the host was moving really slow, and I kind of wanted to move on to other things, but I think I'll go back to it. He was talking about people that were born between 1951 and 1957, or 1955 and 77, or something like that. And they're all people that were born like during that, well, I guess not all of them, but a lot of people born during that time volunteered to be here, Life Blueprint style, at this time, at this particular time, like during the craziness, during the time when all of the devils are like out of hell and partying around here. And we do have to preserve our lives so that we can continue to move forward with the effort that a lot of us came here with a mission to fulfill, and that is to help us all elevate our frequencies so that the whole planet can move out of the third dimension to the fourth and fifth dimension. And I say and because the earth, they called it a bifurcation. In my mind, I can see like all of the slices, the microscope slices overlaid upon each other, and you know, just like everything, like what I was talking about earlier, there's like a lot of propaganda and fake stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's so bad that we get sucked into it and we take it up as our own, and it's like, no, this is what you're being fed. This is what somebody's telling you. Don't you even want to question it for validity? It seems like we just accept things and don't consider like ramifications or consequences or anything. And so that is why you have to take care of your life and preserve it. You know, treat it with loving care. Treat everything with loving care that you can. That's not something that we're accustomed to doing, but it is what we are like once like all of the outer layers are sort of shed, you know. At our core, we are a loving creature, and we have these defenses and all these walls around us because we have to in this life. Because if you don't find a way to defend yourself or some form of acceptance, you're just going to be having a hard time, because it never stops. And the thing about the things that are hard in life, again, remember, we not only signed up for this, we designed it. These are things that we wanted to do. So that's something to remember when the challenges come along and they seem really hard, and we're like, oh God, what now? And you know, apprehensive. But it's like those challenges are part of our learning experience. They elevate us spiritually. I mean, we're here to do these things, to live these lives for a reason. So to be resentful and like angry that a challenge came along is kind of silly, because challenges are what we're here for. This is what we wanted. And I know that is hard to remember. I had an interesting, you know, weekend because I thought a lot of money had gone to a bad person. And I got pretty, like, excited, but I was wrong. And that happens fairly frequently. It happened a couple of times after it, and what I learned from that is, man, take a moment and think about it. Like, is it worth freaking out over? Are you really understanding it right? Are you jumping to make a decision before you have all of the information? Whenever you can, I guess the message is slow the hell down and consider. Like, you can take a moment or two to decide. It really isn't gonna affect anybody, even if they're like tapping their foot late and, come on, looking at the watch. No, take the time to find the right answer. That is what you ultimately want, I would think. I mean, I do. I don't want to be having the wrong answer and looking like I don't know what I am talking about and not smart enough to make a wise decision. Who cares what it looks like? I don't want to make an unwise decision. There's so many reasons why you wouldn't want that. Go ahead and dream them up yourself. I know you can. Okay, so the next card says, someone is in need of your love. Offer it to them. How many times have you had the opportunity to do that and just kind of passed it up? Just didn't do it. Because to do that, it's kind of like you have to shed all your layers and be vulnerable and be authentic. Otherwise, you can hug all you want, but it ain't gonna mean a damn thing if it's not sincere. So, I think when it comes to love, we possibly are responsible for putting up some layers ourselves that, their fear, like, I don't want what bad thing that happened before to happen to me again, or something along those lines, or, my person that I was really attached to before died, and that was a whole ordeal that I don't want to go through again. Unless you're Typhoid Mary, you're probably not going to kill off all of your relationships. I hope. And I think it would help us and whoever we're sharing the love with who is needing it if we did take the effort to shed the fear and the shielding from vulnerability and just give the love, because you're always going to be in the win column. Wait, why did my music stop? I must have touched it. Anyway, if that's the only thing we have to give is love, it's probably the most powerful thing that we can give. You can't eat it and you can't spend it, but it might give you what you need to get, food and money. It can change your life. So the next card, love can. The next card says, stop looking outside yourself for the answers. You already know them. Well, I mean, I think considering what I was saying about the life blueprint, that's exactly what I was talking about, like that kind of thing. We act like we know nothing about it, but we do, like way under some layers, deep down in there, we know that this was a life that we chose, and these were the parents and friends and acquaintances and bosses and everything else, doctors, everybody that you're going to come across, homeless people, you name it. We like plotted that all out before we were born. I know it's crazy to think of, but it's just one of the many, I guess, billions of things that we haven't been allowed to know. So, I guess when you're starting to feel overwhelmed or like things are getting ahead of you, go to the present moment, because then you're not having anxiety about the future or the past, and then you can find your way to the answers inside yourself with more clarity. Because you do have to place yourself in a either real or imagined place of serenity, because that's the way you're going to make the clearest connection with answers that you're trying to get to. Like, I think normally we would have asked, we might have prayed or asked someone somewhere other than ourselves for answers. But as the card says, and the life blueprint implies, we already know the answers. And maybe it's just part of the challenge that we run into, which, is elevating us in our education, our spiritual education here. Like, each challenge we finish or conquer is an upward gradient. Okay, so the next card, the last one, is stop ruminating over what you did or didn't do. Let it go. That, I was just talking about that past can mess you up in the present. So look at this person, they're stuck there at the threshold, and I hope they're realizing that they need to stop ruminating over what you did. Like, don't let regret stop you from going forward, I guess, is a good message here. And the thing about worrying about what you did or didn't do, I have noticed that once the moment has passed, most times people don't remember what you did or didn't do anymore. Like, it's just the moment has passed, and why you're still stuck on it, and it's got you stuck, so you're not going forward. Again, you have to go inside to get to the bottom of what's got you anchored and preventing you from going forward into that bright future that looks like there are no boundaries. I mean, boundaries are the wrong word. Possibilities, the endless possibilities, because it looks all new. It might not be new. We just might not remember. But still, it gives me the feeling of, newness. They're obviously hesitating at a threshold. Because look at the road that they're standing on. That ends at the blue. Like, you're going to be stepping into a portal, is what it looks like. And that's always going to be new and different on the other side. Hopefully positive. Okay, so I kind of feel like I've been talking enough. I pulled a bunch of cards, but I didn't need all of them. That's okay. I guess I want to reiterate before I finish that the life blueprint stuff and the things that we don't know are coming, and when they arrive, I would just ask you to remember what's happening is not here to get you. It's not a punishment, and it's not a chore. It's what you're meant to do. It's you that was part of the decision to make the plan that you are now living. So if you get mad, remember who you're getting mad at and for what. You're getting mad at yourself for what you planned to do. So seems a little on the silly side. And then what else? Anything? I guess not, except for keep your eyes open and be aware of what's real, because it could be the smallest inconsistency that alerts you to the fact that this is bullshit. One last thing. Remember, not too long ago, a few months back, there was a big deal that a lot of promotion about Tucker Carlson going to tour Russia. Why? What's there? Like, now is like the worst time to be all, now we're friends. Like, I'm suspicious of that. So Carlson goes to Russia and makes a big fat deal about going to the grocery store. And the first thing I thought was, this guy's been wealthy his whole life. He's never had to shop. He has no basis for comparison. I mean, I just felt like, why is he the one they picked to go to a store? So he goes in this market, and it's well stocked and all this great looking stuff, and he goes to the bakery and he's just losing his mind because there's fresh, warm bakery, fresh bread right there in the store. Oh my God. He was like, oh, he thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I was like, not only does this rich fucker never shop, he doesn't know that these American stores have had bakeries in them for at least a couple of decades now. Like in the deli, there's a bakery. The man doesn't shop. So I just thought, well, they did this propaganda wrong, because I can see right through this knucklehead. It was actually kind of insulting to like go to Russia, who has really never been our ally, and be talking about how great the grocery store is. You didn't go to one here first, knucklehead? These are the great minds that want to run the country. And the whole purpose of all of that was to trick us into, I don't know, thinking Russia was all good. When I still lived in Hollywood before I moved to San Francisco, so many Russian families moved into the neighborhood. It was crazy. I mean, it was a lot. Like, it was a noticeable immigration. You could just totally notice. And I thought, well, if it's so great over there, what are you doing here? And you know what I never heard them say, which was kind of nice? Because you hear it from people from New York, like they come to like LA, like that's where I'm from, so I was living there at the time. And they have like all New York everything, like this. My friend's uncle, who she used to stay at sometimes, his place, well, her place and his place were like, I was like in the middle of both of them. So she was there at both places a lot. So we're at her uncle's house, and this guy comes over, and they're from New York, her family is. And so this guy rolls up, and he's got his little car, and he's got his California place that said the Bronx on them, or Bronx or whatever. You can only use 7 characters, so probably Bronx. And he wouldn't shut up about it. He was always talking about New York this, and, well, in New York, blah, blah, blah. You could get a blah, blah, blah in New York, and there are places in LA that have, like, there are great delis and pizza places in LA. They're easily comparable to what you could find in New York, except for you don't have the water that they use in the bagels in New York. But I know people that are from both places and they survive just fine, or have lived in both places, and you know, they didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about any kind of difference. And this guy, no matter what you gave him, there was always something better in New York. And you know, we were kids, so we couldn't really like speak up and go, man, shut the fuck up with that shit. But her uncle finally just he was like Jekyll and Hyde, that guy. Like, he could be super nice, but turn into like a monster in a second. You don't even know what the hell happened to make him flip like that. But he had his back to us, and I saw his shoulders go up and get all stiff. And so I was like, oh, fuck, a storm is coming. So I was like, I'm going to go outside, and or leave, whatever. And as I'm leaving, I just hear her uncle tearing into this guy. Well, why didn't you stay there? You never shut up about it. If you think it's so great, why'd you go back to the Bronx? He was much more creative with the cursing. It was just funny. But, boy, I mean, Karen and I, my friend, we were just like, oh my God, thank you, it's about time. because he was just being insufferable with it. So I don't know now why I brought that up. I don't remember. Lost track. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you and good night.